Hello everybody and welcome to my YouTube channel, Art Classes My Way. Please like, comment, subscribe, and leave in the comments section about telling me about things that you would like to see me teach you or that you would like to learn. More than happy to hear about those suggestions. I am here to teach you guys. So what we are doing today with this little project here is we are taking our twisted wire that we made from the previous video in one of my wire weave videos, just teaching you about different weaves that you can do. I do consider this guy to be a base wire, but it is a very powerful tool to use to get a really different set of textures going on. So in order to use this guy, if you've made a decent amount, we are going to make a set of earrings with him. And this is Picasso marble. They're just little stones that I have hanging around the house. Need to use them up for something. So that's what these guys are. And we have 20 gauge wire. We are going to need 26 gauge wire. Your spun wire, which you should make out of your 26 gauge wire. Your spun wire does go up 3 sizes when you have twisted him. So just keep that in mind, and that's why we have the 20 gauge, so that way we have a base wire that matches the size of the wires that we made. Now, once you have gotten this guy completely twisted around the way you want him, the next thing you're going to do, if you've noticed that while you were doing this, the wire has gotten more and more brittle. You have work hardened this wire, and it would be very, very hard to use him for anything the way he stands now. And you can see the end there, so that gives you a little bit of a hint what we're doing. Next thing we're going to need is some sort of flame. If you have a gas stove, you could put this over a gas stove. I do recommend using your pliers to hold on to them. It is wire, it is metal. One end gets hot, the other end gets hot. Keep that in mind, be safe. But you can also use this as well. All you need to do is heat up the wire enough to where if you start seeing him kind of change some colors a little bit, and it'll happen fast, especially with this really, really fine wire, that color change is going to be pretty much instant. And all you do is you're just going to be going back and forth along the length of the wire, and you're just heating him up. Now this will take the wire back to being dead soft, and this allows him to be far more workable than the way he was before, and he's going to be less likely to break on you. It doesn't seem like I did a whole lot right there, but believe me, for wire it was monumental. And I have this other wire here too, so I might as well go ahead and heat him up. Come on. Now if you end up heating him up to where you get where he starts turning a little black on you, don't worry about it. Now these thin wires, they also cool down pretty quickly as well. Yeah, he's already cooled off. That's just a little bit of soot. You can do multiple things. I just take my fingers, run it over the wire, and that picks up a lot of the soot, takes it pretty much off. If it doesn't take it off to what you specify and what you want, there are polish cloths that you can get. I believe Joann Fabrics carries a polish cloth that'll work just fine for that. You can also put it in a tumbler, but by the time you put it in the tumbler, you're going to want to do that at the end when you're completely done with the project, because if you put it back in the tumbler, you're just going to work harden him again, and then you're going to be right back to square one. And you're going to have to reheat it and so on and so on. So, okay, so what we're going to do is we are going to take our 26 gauge wire, and we're going to thread him through the top part here, through the hole through the top. And we are going to do our favoriteest thing in the world and start spinning and making yet another spiral piece out of this whole length. And this is going to end up making a large majority of the findings and the fixtures for the top of this necklace. So I'm going to go ahead and do this part, getting him all spun around the way I want him. Make sure that your at 2 different angles here, and both wires are being spun, not just one, because if it's just one, it'll end up spinning itself around one of these wires and it's a completely different look in the end. So I will be right back as soon as I get that done. All right, got him all nice and spun up there. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut off these ends like so. Scrap pile, scrap, scrap. Okay, so now from this point, we're gonna treat it like any wire earring that we would be making, or at least for the fixture part of it. And give him a little kink with our round nose. I want a smaller one. There we go. Okay. And then we're gonna loop him around. There. And then twist. There we are. Now I'm going to go ahead and cut this guy. Cut that tail off, tuck it underneath. We got an all new neat little texture for a set of earrings. Now you want to be able to hold your earring straight up as if it would dangle from the ear to make sure that your pieces, as you've tightened it, that it still has the wiggle that you want. Sometimes when people do this, they end up putting it more on the back and then it ends up holding the piece kind of like forward like this in the earring set, and that just doesn't look too terribly appealing. So you could just leave it at that, and it's just a nice little decorative element right there. But I'm going to do a little bit more here. All right, now that we've gotten that part done, what we are going to do next is we are going to want our E6000 jewelry glue here. And maybe mine will open, maybe it won't. Ooh, I got lucky. Lucky as you can get, I guess. So what I'm going to do with this is I have cut a piece of my spiral wire here, and it goes entirely around my piece and allows for enough of it to stick into each side of this hole. Now because I used a 20 or a 26 gauge wire here, there's plenty of room for me to be able to do that. And the thing is about marble is it's easy to chip and it is easy to break. So I myself like to fill this hole with the E6000, and well, while I'm at it, it allows me to have a completely different cold connection look without having to have a base or anything to solder to. So I get a good amount if it will come out. Now making sure that I get myself a pretty good globule of glue on this, so that way when I stick it in these holes, the glue itself will start to fill in that hole itself. And then afterwards I'll go in here with an X-Acto knife and just pick off the excess. Won't be any big deal. And because our wire is nice and soft, it'll want to hold its shape pretty nicely to the outside of our stone here. So get the other end. Yep, see, you won't be able to stop it once it gets going. onto this guy, tilt him inwards, and push. And I'm just using my pliers here to kind of push the wire in where I want it to be. And this glue is not dry, so it is not going to hold right away. And rather than obviously sitting here and waiting for this to cure, guess what? That's what masking tape is for. So I'm going to go and put some masking tape around it, and I'll show you what we did on the second one here. So one moment. Alright, and as you can see, I do have some areas that I could fix around where the wire meets. So I'm going to go ahead and take care of that before I completely set him down, because there's always the chance that whatever you're doing is not going to be fixable after the fact. And I want this to lay nice and straight. And I'm going to even take my nails. I'm going to take the glue just a little bit, and I'm going to put it underneath the wire, between the wire and the marble. It can't hurt. The only thing is, though, because this is a stone, even though marble is fairly porous and all that jazz, it's still a really smooth surface, and especially with wire, even though this is all twisted wire, it is also still a very smooth surface. So there's not a whole lot for this glue to grab a hold of necessarily. So it's not like as good as soldering, but you know, it never hurts just to have a little extra security. Now, since there is glue in there, I am going to hold this guy up as if he was in an earring. Make sure he dangles the way I want him to dangle, because he's not going to have much of that sliding back and forth once this is all done. And that is fine, because these are going to be very simple, very elegant, understated little earrings. Pardon. So there's one. Now to show you again what we did. Now these guys are going to need 24 hours to 48 hours to fully cure with that glue. So, time machine. And now we have, it's been about 24 hours, 48 hours. since we started this project, and this guy here is being re-glued. He decided not to stick on me, so I'm redoing that one. But we have this guy who came out beautifully in every way, shape, and form that I could ever have wanted. So very simple thing to do with very small stones that you may have that are beaded, so they've already got pre-drilled holes in them. You don't always have to go super elaborate. It's a nice way to create something that is a wire weave project a little bit cheaper and not charging $30 for every pair of earrings just to try to make up for the amount of time that you put into it. So very lovely, very nice little piece. All that's left is to put an ear wire in him. And when he decides to behave, he'll get an ear wire too. And he'll look just as beautiful as the other one. And if you want to know how to make an ear wire, please go and see my other YouTube video on making ear wires for beginners, or beginner wire weaving ear wires. It'll definitely be in the beginners playlist, at least for that anyway. So I hope you guys enjoyed this very simple little project, fun little project here. Just trying to get you to think outside of big, elaborate, giant wire woven projects. And I hope to see you guys in the next episode that I decide to do. Please like, subscribe, and comment. Leave comments down in the comments section of projects that maybe you would like to learn how or what, or just ask. I am here to help you guys. And thanks for coming and hanging out, guys. Bye!